This is very bad news for the Houston Texans. A way worse injury concern than we were ready for. Joe Mixon had a walking boot on in May. There were no concerns whatsoever. Now he's potentially missing week 1 of the NFL season. A lot to talk about here today on Texans Digest. Let's dive into it. First things first, if you're new to the channel, 75% of you are not subscribed. The Texans Digest community, you guys have been going crazy on the past few videos, so thank you guys so much. But as for Joe Mixon, he's on the non-football injury list and could be out for an extended period of time. The most vague sentence out there, there's really not any in-depth details as to how long will he be out for. But there is some research that I have done, and it's not looking pretty for Joe Mixon. Unfortunately, not only did they sign Nick Chubb, and that's not unfortunate, but looking at it, you were kind of expecting a 1-2 punch, and I really didn't mind it. You have a 30-year-old Joe Mixon. Nick Chubb hasn't really gotten back to full strength himself, recovering from that ACL meniscus tear that he had a couple years back. First year off of it last season. Hopefully he can be ready for the Texans. He looks great in training camp. But as far as Joe Mixon, this is not good news. I was already skeptical when they signed Nick Chubb. I was like, okay, is Joe Mixon 100%? It doesn't seem so. Now, this is what's telling me everything. Hopefully you guys can read it. It's not the best for the biggest screen, but the best info we have is that it didn't suggest that Joe Mixon had surgery, which is actually not a good thing. When you look at, I'm not a doctor, but again, looking at the research, he had a right ankle deltoid. Basically, the ankle roll in September, left ankle in December, was spotted in May, like I mentioned, in that brace, boot, whatever you want to call it. The main concern here is the fact that it can be re-aggravated like that. And that's what happens when it wasn't surgically addressed, and it probably didn't have to be, but that could have increased injury risk and could be aggravated throughout the season because it didn't fully heal. So they're going to reevaluate Mixon's progress by the end of preseason. Maybe he plays in a game. I 100% doubt it, because there was an article that said, hey, Mixon will probably be out for most of the preseason. He's probably not going to play in any of the preseason. So again, this is a foot injury. It's ankle injuries are not good, but Joe Mixon was looking to be okay. He was expected to be fine. But now we have all these concerns with, did the ankle heal properly last season? I mean, he looked fine. And towards the end of the season, in the playoffs, he played fine. But there is that added injury risk, and you don't want to risk anything in terms of how are you expect. So I think more of it is for precautionary purposes. Mixon is most likely going to be ready week 1. It's more about the fact that you don't want him to do anything in preseason. So I think it's more for precaution than everything else. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is he going to play week 1? Is he going to be on track to play? I don't think he touches a stitch at practice, a stitch of any type of risk, because you're looking at one of your all-star kind of Pro Bowl players who was last year. I know Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything crazy, but again, a big player for your offense in terms of what you want to run here for Houston, especially yesterday when we're talking about what is this offense going to look like. A lot of different run schemes in terms of differentiating from the past game. Again, we don't know what it's going to look like, but you can only take a guess. So Mixon out majority of the preseason, probably the whole preseason if I were to think of how it happens. But let's touch on the situation, because now you turn to who else is there. Obviously, you signed Nick Chubb. You have Woody Marks, who you just drafted. Dameon Pierce, who we've talked in the comments, but some people think he's on the verge of potentially being released. Now with the Mixon injury, I would only assume you're going to keep every running back, because you need as much depth as you could possibly have, especially out of the running back position. But what I'm getting at here is Nick Chubb has been absolutely feasting in terms of what we're seeing in training camp. So here's a video of Chubb just plowing over, not defenders, but he's getting to the hole, he's getting upfield, and it looks like Nick Chubb. Again, we can't really say too much about it considering we haven't seen him on the actual field for week 1, but that clip right there, he looks good. He's running fast, he's running hard, he's not avoiding contact. I think the biggest thing last year was the fact that he not only missed a part of the season, but I don't think he felt 100% comfortable out there. So maybe with a year under your belt after playing with the knee injury, you come back, you play a little bit stronger. So I think the Texans are probably going to lean a little bit more heavy on Nick Chubb for the first few weeks of the season. But realistically, I don't think there's any concern here. It's just a potential concern for the future, because if what everyone is saying on Twitter and X, but if everyone's saying that, Mixon did not heal properly last season, that is never a good sign. Now, I'm not a doctor, but from reading everything that has been said and the extended period of time, I never want to hear somebody's going to be out for X amount of weeks, because it's just so vague. You don't have anything to go off of, and this is what we're hearing with the Mixon injury, and it's really frustrating for not only us fans but fantasy owners as well. Is Mixon a liable player to draft? I mean, there's so many different question marks as to not only what is the Texans offense going to look like, now is Joe Mixon going to be on the field for this offense? An explosive player last season, 1,000 yards on the ground. I mean, that's no joke. I mean, this is a player you want on the field. So, and not only that, Nick Chubb is not necessarily, I love Nick Chubb, but he's not necessarily a third down back. So how is that snap percentage going to look? Is it going to be 13 carries for Chubb, 8 for Mixon? Like, how many times are you planning on running the ball a game? There's so many question marks, not only about the Mixon injury, because you don't actually have a specific answer, but because there is no specific answer and they're just saying that he's expected to be out for an extended period of time, it only makes me think that they're being very safe, okay, we know the gravity of this ankle foot injury, whatever you want to call it, so we're not going to risk anything. Okay, Mixon, most likely Stroud, all the starters are probably not going to play. Maybe you see Stroud and DeMeco for like one series, maybe Jaden Higgins out there. You never really know what you're going to get with preseason, but I mean, I'm a little bit nervous in terms of what is going to happen this season with the Joe Mixon potential risk of the injury that he has. And again, he was in a walking boot all offseason. I thought he had surgery done. There was no actual disclosure on what the news was with Mixon throughout the whole offseason. So I was just very curious, because he had that ankle lingering after week 2. Then he had another ankle roll. So there's just a lot of questions as to, hey, why are we not addressing this? We're just acting like it's peachy keen and everything's okay. Joe Mixon, he's on the injury report, but hey, he's expected to be okay fairly soon. And then all of a sudden, Adam Schefter reposts, hey, July 23rd, he's placed on the non-football injury list because his foot is still aggravated. Maybe not still aggravated, but it can be easily aggravated. So that's probably why he's not practicing. And again, practicing in the offseason training camp, you want players to practice, and obviously when they're staying out, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely a concern. It's a little bit of an alarm going off in my head, like, okay, we kind of saw this coming, because why did they sign Chubb if Mixon wasn't 100%, especially in the offseason? DeMeco kind of just shrugged it off, like, okay, yeah, he's fine. I mean, I'm sure, again, we don't know what's going on, and it's very frustrating to hear the words of the vagueness of he might miss multiple weeks of training camp and hopes he's going to return for week 1. I mean, from that kind of injury right there, especially muscle and tissue injuries, for me, myself, rolling 100 ankles myself, it lingers, and 1 week turns into 2 weeks, 2 weeks turns into 3 weeks, 3 weeks turns into 4 weeks. Will Mixon play this season? Obviously, most likely, yes, but you don't want to put that much strain on your running back, and that's kind of why you signed Nick Chubb. But again, there's just so many question marks as to not only what the Texans offense is going to look like, but who's going to run the football. It's going to be Chubb, and if Mixon's not ready to go week 1, it's Chubb and who? Woody Marks, Dara Ogunbowale, Dameon Pierce. You don't really have a number 2, and that's why I love the Chubb signing, because the Chubb-Mixon combo, that could have worked really well. Still can, but I'm a little concerned here with this injury. You guys got to let me know your thoughts, but this paragraph right here tells me that there's something wrong with Joe Mixon. We don't actually have an accurate description other than it's a foot injury and he might miss week 1, but that doesn't, again, that just sounds like it's precaution. But he's very high injury risk because of his ankle problems. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to think. It's just a little bit alarming, a little bit scary. And just to have Nick Chubb in the backfield without Joe Mixon, I think that's going to be a problem for the Texans in terms of trying to run the football. Running back is the most scarce position. It's the most replenishable position because you look at the amount of injuries that has happened at the running back position. You kind of just next man up mentality. We can't really have that because the Texans don't have too many running backs. But I need to know your thoughts in the comments. Am I overreacting? Is it a little bit of a concern? Definitely not good news, but we will see if Mixon returns for week 1. We'll keep you updated for news as it goes about, but that's all the updates at the moment. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Texans Digest. 75% of you are not subscribed once again. Just want another shout out. Thank you guys for watching these videos. It's been, I've taken about a week off, moving to a new apartment, so appreciate all the support. I'm back. I'm trying to be posting every day, but Donovan will also be on the videos. This is a huge update, but thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, appreciate you hanging out, and we'll see you in the next video.